but even my close loved ones within my family that I had distanced myself from because I was so ashamed to even look somebody in the eye that they would see my truth. The fact of the matter is, in the midst of all of that, I didn't want to face myself. And I'm just here somewhat as a sacrifice. The woman that I want to be my wife, I don't want to cheat on her. I don't want to hurt her. And I have to let all of this go so I can be a better person for all the people that I love. Hey, so this video it's about telling the truth. It's about confessions. It's about being the person that we want to be. It's about simply opening up to your heart, to yourself, to God, to others. So I hope this video is a big help to everyone that watches it. It's not trying to just catch views. I'm not really about that, but I'm about the truth, and I hope that you can find yours within this video. So my name is Christian. I'm 22 years old, and I recently gave my life to Christ. Before that, I was pretty lost. There were a lot of things that I had experienced that either I did to others, with others, or that were done to me. I'm here to open up and confess about all of that. Not to clear any records or expose anyone. No. Actually, if anything, what God has me here to say might actually taint my record. Might actually make me look worse than I care to appear. But recently, God told me that one night I was just in my bed. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up and something said, "Get up." And I had been reading the Bible a lot, at that time. And so I listened to it. I figured maybe this is God. Maybe this is God. And I went outside. He said, "Just get up and go." And I went outside, and it was close to storming. Wind was blowing. It was dark. The sky looked crazy. And when I got out there, I was a little scared, but I was told to come to this tree. It's in front of my house and sit down. and I sat, and I was like, why did you bring me here? Like, I've never sat under this tree as long as I've lived here. And I heard, take your shoes off. So I took my shoes off. And he said, I want you to tell the people what you've told me. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, I want you to tell people the truth about you. The truth that you've hidden, that you hide, and that you may continue to hide since you've been alive. And I was just like, that's heavy. That's heavy. That's real heavy. Like the truth, the whole truth. Looking back on that night, at just how scared I felt even thinking about opening my mouth and sharing, confessing. Really, it scared me. It scared me, to say the least. And I said, after some time trying to wrap my mind around what I was told, I said, why? And God said, it's for you. And it's for everyone that hears you. But I prayed that God would be with me, that I wouldn't have to think about what I had to say, and the words would just come from Him. So, without further ado, it's time that not only I, but we all start to tell the truth, the whole truth about where we've been, who we've been there with, what we've done, the mistakes we made, and I don't know, I guess God wanted me to make this video before it rains. So, there's some things, I know it's a long intro, but there's some things that I'm gonna say that nobody knows. Not even my parents. Nobody. So, I realize now the thing that God wants me to do is let these things go. The person that I was when I did a lot of these things was a person without, I guess, the right kind of divine love and heavenly wisdom to realize what should have been done and what shouldn't have been done. That's the sad truth about it, but I'm not that person anymore. I don't feel like that person. I don't even think like that person of who I was. It's just my direction and my thoughts, my heart, my love for others, it's completely different now. So, though the things I'm gonna say are like, wow, really? Yeah. It's been some time since God asked me to do this, but I don't think I'm scared to pick up my mat and carry it around and show who I was anymore, because I feel like God's healed me. And I'm tired of holding the lies. I'm tired of lying. I'm scared. Don't get me wrong, I'm scared, but I guess I also have faith. So here it goes. The question is, where should I start? When I was real young, I remember the first time that I had watched porn. And that was about, from this day, it was more than 10 years ago. Mind you, I'm 22. And it led me many, many, many years of, and I'm gonna tell everything. It led me many, many years later to eventually, it eventually led me to act on those feelings and, have relationships, have girlfriends, and, brought me to a place where I was so hungry for that sexual desire that I actually was with a prostitute. Yeah. I do. So, I think I was 20 or 21 when I was driving and I think I saw a prostitute. I think I was like, I've never seen one before, but I think that's a prostitute. And I acted on it. Interestingly enough, I guess if we're going backwards, that was I think one of the craziest things that I've done that I can remember. I mean, not that I can remember, that I experienced, that I felt so ashamed of and felt dirty about, It felt like, wow. But it's about confessing. It's about not harboring these things anymore. and being truthful about them, and not being scared of the repercussions that are going to come. It's about being honest with yourself and being honest with others. So that's why I'm doing this. When I was luckily I went to the doctor after that, just to get checked out, and I didn't contract anything. I was safe, but I guess my heart wasn't. My heart was hurt. My heart was destroyed from that. When before I made that decision, yikes, I had a man, just saying these things. Whew, yikes. Before this, I had a girlfriend. It's now my ex-girlfriend. I had a girlfriend. And she was the sweetest thing ever. And we had a lot of ups and downs because of me, because of my mind and my heart and my desires, and I think that the relationship ended up turning down a dead end because of me. And the reason was that she was so sweet, she was so kind, and I cheated on her, as a lot of people do in relationships, and I want to be here to admit that I cheated on her. I didn't want to, really, but I guess you can also say I wanted to, because I did it. But the girl that I was with, I ended up getting getting herpes from that. Yeah. And I found out like 3 or 4 days later. And it hurt me so bad. Not because I had herpes, but because now I had herpes, and I was still in a relationship with a beautiful, kind young woman who didn't deserve a guy like me and the decisions that I made at the time. And it hurt my heart so much. It hurt my heart so much that I didn't know what to do in the midst of all that darkness, that I basically told her that we shouldn't be together because I can't tell you the truth. That's what I said. and still withholding the truth from her. Eventually, some time passed and I told her. But when I look back on all of the decisions that I made in that relationship after that, I realize now in these shoes, and after growing from that, learning my mistakes, building a relationship with my Lord, and understanding what love is, the love that He gives to me, I realize the manipulation and the lies and the desires that I had within me, you know. One of the things that I think continued that habitual, consistent action of mine was that I continued to hide it from everybody. I think whether I realized it or not, I even hid it from the people I loved, like my in my relationships and my family. Some time before that, in the course of since I was young to this age now of 22, in the midst of those years, in that period of time, I had a handful of relationships from middle school to college that were guided by those sexual desires that began when I was around 9. And I remember, like I said, the first video that I watched, but what dawned on me a few days ago was I was thinking back on when I was young, and I was thinking back on the first experience I had the first handful of experiences that I had when I was young. And I remember that I was scared. I was scared like a kid walking into an area that was unfamiliar with what to do and how to do things, and that felt somewhere in his heart that this was wrong. And the first relationship that I had was with a slightly older girl when I was in middle school, and she and I had been talking about things that I was unfamiliar with, but she had experienced before. Like I was saying, it brought me to a position where she was guiding me on how to do these things, basically introducing me to this world of sexual pleasure and lust and things like that. Not that it wasn't, that the temptation or the thoughts weren't there already, but it was that experience with that girl when I was in 7th grade that introduced me to that lifestyle. And that experience that eventually turned into a lifestyle, because I didn't have any type of I didn't learn along with that any self-control or discipline. And I remember the crazy thing to me about that experience was that before then, I had not had any relations, any physical experiences with any girls before that. But after that experience, a year later, when I'm in 8th grade, I meet a 7th grader who I'm attracted to, and in retrospect, I do the exact thing that she did to me. And I, talk to the girl, persuaded the girl, what's the word? I want to say tease, but there's another word for it. Flirted with her and things like that, and it led us to the same position that I was in a year before. So she being the 7th grader at that time, and me being an 8th grader at that time, I was now treating her like that girl treated me. And it's crazy to me that, and I just thought about this the other day on where that mentality of using somebody for that pleasure of mine began. Just trying to figure it out, just thinking about it. And it began with all of those little experiences that seemed so innocent, but that really created a understanding on how I should or how I could interact with people and girls that I liked. And that's really a shame. But again, now being 22, I was curious about spirituality, and it led me to reading the Bible and trying, with the sole intention of trying to not hurt anybody else, not hurt any more women, not hurt any more family members that get my attitude because I'm ashamed of myself. There's a lot of different, there were a lot of different side effects to the secrets that I kept inside of me that I didn't realize were not only affecting the many women that I've cheated on, but even my close loved ones within my family that I had distanced myself from, because I was so ashamed to even look somebody in the eye that they would see my truth. Within that experience, it just dawned on me something else that I had to confess. And this is, you thought the prostitute was bad. You thought it was bad. Here it goes. Truly, it's now not hard for me to say. I know that, I'm not even gonna give any energy to how this plays on you. But what I want to highlight is that despite all the things that I've done, I am so confident in the salvation of God. The salvation that I've experienced because of Jesus Christ and the love that He taught me and His forgiveness. But here goes. When I don't remember when this was, but it was actually after high school. It was after high school for sure. And I was in college. I've been in college for a number of years now, about 5 years. And I began to lust and crave sexual pleasure to a point where I just wanted it. I craved it every day, every night. I mean, if I was stressed, porn. If I was happy, porn. You know, it was all the time. Oh, I need to go to sleep, porn. That's a lie. But anyways, in the midst of a heated time for me, and a troubling time for me, I was so hooked on it that I actually had relations with another guy. I did. At the time, it seemed like it was convenient, and for the things that I was dealing with. And, you know, in my heart of hearts, approaching the experience, in the experience, I knew that I didn't like him. I knew that I couldn't love him or adore him like I could a woman, or that I wanted to like a woman, but the temptation of just feeling what I was used to feeling was so extreme that I rationalized that could be something that I would like. Until I felt like something's not right. I don't like this. You know? In the midst of all of this, I don't want to lose sight of why I'm out here. Why I'm out here telling and confessing. The whole and sole purpose that, as far as I know, I don't know what God has planned. I have no idea what God has planned for this confession, but the sole purpose that was revealed to me was that there's a lot of people like myself who were so wrapped up in their secrets, their attitudes, their doubts, their fears, their delusions, their restrictions, their self limits, their self limits, their crutches, their trauma. There's so many people that are currently caught up in entanglements, that it feels like you're stuck in a jungle in vines and you can't move, or that you feel that you're down in a hole looking up, not knowing how to climb out. Sometimes not even knowing that you're in a hole, just stuck in darkness and wallowing in your own sadness and your own, I don't know. But despite all of that, despite all of the mistakes that I've made, that you've made, that we've made, equally so, despite all the experiences that tell us who we are, and despite people that beat us down or try to even lift us up into who they expect us to be, you don't have to be that way. You don't have to be stuck. And you don't have to hide. You don't have to keep it inside. You don't have to. I know it feels comfortable. I know it feels like the world would end if you spoke up about what you were really feeling. If you spoke up, if I spoke up about my confusion, or if I spoke up about what I was feeling, or I spoke up about my experience with my girlfriend at the time, or my experience with the guy, or my experience with the prostitute, or my experience with the prostitute, those kinds of things are worth telling. Why? Because they're the truth. They're your truth. And I realized that in the midst of all of those experiences, the truth of the matter is, I was hiding behind lies. I was putting on a face of who I thought I could be, who I had hoped I could be, but I wasn't acting those things out. So I hid behind lies. And I didn't tell the truth of who I actually was at the time, which brought me further and further to becoming who I could be. Deeper and deeper in a hole. But there's power in confession. There's power in telling one person. There's power in telling your mother. There's power in telling a friend. There's power in telling a friend, which is truly how, for me, this began. There's power in telling a brother. There's power in telling your sister. There's power in telling your father. There's power in opening your mouth and speaking the truth. Not only about social injustice, not only about the truth of what's going on in the world, but there's power in telling the truth about yourself. Above anything. And above all of that, there's power in telling God. There's power in telling God, because it's just you and Him by yourself. You and Him up on the mountain, talking, opening up. Because not only are we hiding the truth from the people that we live with, but we're hiding the truth from ourselves. Because the fact of the matter is, in the midst of all of that, I didn't want to face myself in all the decisions that I made. I didn't want to even think about that experience that I had with the guy, because I was like, oh, what are my friends gonna think? My guy friends, are they gonna just not be friends with me because I tell them and I'm gay now? Like, first of all, I'm not gay. Though I did have that experience, I now know who I am. And that's just because of Jesus. But I didn't want to face myself. And sometimes you may feel like we have felt that we've been running away from our friends, we've been running away from our family. We run away from these things, but we're really running away from our truth, ourselves, our true self. And you don't get there. You can't. You can't get there if you're constantly running away, hiding. So I just want to thank God for all the healing that's going to come from this, from all the truth that's going to come from this, from all the revelation and power and patience and strength that's going to come from this, because it's not easy. But God works in mysterious ways. And I'm just here somewhat as a sacrifice. And all of this, for those that I think have a true heart and I can call my brother or my sister, thank you for accepting me. Thank you. Oh, man. Thank you for accepting me despite all the things that I've done and all the people that I've hurt and all of the women that I've cheated on. I'm doing this because the woman that I want to be my wife, I don't want to cheat on her. I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to hurt my family. I don't want to hurt the family. I don't want to hurt my kids. I don't want to hurt their kids. I don't want to hurt anybody. And I have to let all of this go. All of it. So I can be a better person for all the people that I love. That despite all the things that you are ashamed of, and despite all the things that you hide and you conceal, your freedom, your true freedom, because that's what we want. We don't want happiness. Freedom encompasses all the things that we want. Your true freedom comes from love and confession and many more things that the wisdom of God shares. So, after all of this, pick up a Bible. Discover your spirituality. Build your relationship with God. And let go of the person that you're not trying to continue to be. Let go of them. And that first starts with opening your mouth. Thank you for listening if you continue to watch this far. I hope that many blessings come to you because of this. And I pray that there's healing within your family, for your family's trauma, for your family's doubts and delusions and fears and worries and restrictions and their crutches and their trauma and their health. That there's healing for you and your loved ones all across the world. Shout out to having good hearts, having good minds, peace and love. God bless.